Am I the a-hole for not letting my brother's girlfriend move in with me? I'm the middle child of 3 siblings. There's my sister, 19 female, who is blind, me 22 male, and my brother, 25 male. My brother got arrested when he was 18 and tried to pin the blame on me. It was a huge mess and I decided to drop all contact with him. My sister and I are really close, and she is very self-sufficient. My parents still treat her like a child, but I told her that I would get a townhouse or condo and she could live with me when she wants. My brother is due to get released later this year, and I just started a great full-time career, and I just moved into a townhouse this past weekend. There's 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. My sister isn't ready to move in yet as she wants to finish up school. Now, my brother has a girlfriend that he's been seeing before he got arrested. They have a kid together as well. The girlfriend and kid do not spend any time with the family, and the only time girlfriend reaches out is for money. She reached out to me about having any space available, as their rent was increased and she was having trouble paying it on time. I told her that I did have a room open, but was saving it for my sister. She went berserk and claimed she had a right to the bedroom just as much as my sister did. I told her that she didn't, since I already gave my sister permission to move in. She called me Nahal and threw a few more insults at me. My parents reached out and told me to think about letting his girlfriend and kid move in. They also think having my sister live with me isn't a good idea, as she needs a ton of help. I told them that I wasn't changing my mind, and sister can decide for herself where she wants to go. Am I the a-hole for not letting my brother's girlfriend move in with me? Now for the top comments. She had a right to the bedroom. Can we say entitlement? Imagine the nightmare that would occur for you if you let her move in. You don't have a free room she has the right to. It's presumably taken in the near future. Not the a-hole. Don't let the brother and his girlfriend ever step foot in your home to live as a tenant. They will never leave. Not the a-hole. You did mess up when you said you had a room open. You didn't have a room open. You had a room for your sister. Sometimes small word choices matter a lot. All you had to say was, I don't have a room available. It still probably would have blown up, but maybe not as much. Yes, never explain yourself to entitled people. It just feeds the troll. Definitely not the a-hole. His girlfriend is not entitled to anything, especially not a room in your house. Even with him being your brother, the fact that he tried to pin his crime on you is enough reason. And that his girlfriend is insulting you for giving her a completely valid reason to not give her the room? Absolutely not. As you stated, your sister is self-sufficient, even with her disability. So moving in with you shouldn't be as much of an issue as your parents stated. I would never want someone who only comes to me for money and insults me for not getting their way live in my home. Next story. Am I the a-hole for setting unreasonable rules for when my son moved back in? My son, 23 male Chris, just graduated college. He used to live hours away from me and his mom and younger sister, but recently moved back in with us because he could no longer afford rent. He said it was temporary, but has been here for 4 months. But that's not what bothers me. It's the fact that he adds to our expenses and hasn't started working and doesn't help in any capacity. In other words, he's become a burden. I talked to my wife about how Chris has been lazy and mooching off of everyone lately, and suggested giving him the push he needed to start counting on himself as an adult. She gasped, saying how dare I imply I would kick him out. That wasn't what I suggested. I sat with Chris and gave him a timeline as to when he's expected to either start working and help around the house or move out. Till then, I gave him rules that he needed to follow till further notice, and those rules were: A. No counting on us to do basic tasks, and start doing his own laundry and wash his own dishes. B. No complaining about what's for lunch/dinner, and accept and be grateful for the food he eats. C. No Wi-Fi more than 6 hours a day, just like his younger sister. He kept laughing as I read him the rules repeatedly, saying, BS man, are you serious? I said for real, and told him there was more. D. No luxuries like Netflix subscriptions and YouTube live streams, unless he somehow pays for it himself. This was it for Chris. He blew up complaining about how ridiculous and unfair my rules were, and reminded me he's not a child anymore. But I told him child or not, as long as he lives under my roof, then he's expected to follow the owner's rules. He got frustrated and yelled Mom to come to his rescue. He got her involved and asked her to talk some sense into me. My wife argued with me and I asked her if she was okay with Chris recklessly increasing our bills and spending so much of our money in lavish stuff while doing nothing in return. She blew up telling me to get rid of these unreasonable rules, and that I should be ashamed of myself for treating my own son as an unwanted guest. I refused and told her she was enabling his unacceptable behavior, and that Chris still has a chance to turn his situation around if he doesn't like it. Plus, what does this teach our daughter? That it's okay to be lazy and irresponsible adult? She said Chris came home with a degree, so damn right he's responsible but is struggling, and that I was making it worse for him. She finished by saying I shouldn't be surprised if he no longer speaks to me after he moves out eventually. Am I the a-hole? Did I go too far here? Important to mention that I'm the breadwinner of our entire household, but I don't mention this a lot since we're family and this is our money. Not a a-hole. I'm an adult. Don't treat me like a child. That being said, please buy all my food, clean up after me, and make me whatever food I want while I watch Netflix because I'm your special boy. I'm not a child. Then proceeds to go, Mommy, Daddy took away Netflix. OP, please show your son these comments and let him die of embarrassment. Everyone sucks here. Chris is lazy and entitled. If he needed to move back home, the least he could do was contribute to the expenses and have a timeline for moving out. You went overboard with these rules. No more than 6 hours a day Wi-Fi is just plain silly. You also implemented these rules without your wife being on board, and knowing she specifically wasn't on board. Your wife is enabling him. You also implemented these rules without your wife being on board and knowing she specifically wasn't on board. I'm usually against unilateral decisions in a family unit. However, when one parent is clearly enabling bad behavior/habits, their voice should be overruled. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for calling out my sister for taking and selling my sick husband's possessions in front of the entire family? My female 25 husband, male 30, was diagnosed with leukemia. He didn't start receiving treatment right after his diagnosis because of how weak his body was, but his health hasn't improved. It's not looking good so far. He keeps getting worse, and I'm constantly worrying about him. He's been in and out of the hospital lately, so my stepmom offered to help and sent my sister, 19, to our apartment to cook and clean. I'm away from home most of the time, and my sister would show up for hours every day to take care of the apartment. Recently, I noticed stuff going missing. Stuff that belonged to my husband specifically, like his wristwatch and some of his electronic devices, apart from his phone. I asked my sister about it, and she claimed she didn't see them. I kept noticing more of my husband's possessions disappear with time, and it drove me nuts as I kept questioning my memory since I lacked sleep. I decided to lock the bedroom as a solution, but I lost the key later. Another thing I noticed is my sister keep asking about my husband nonstop. Not about his health, but about what he has/doesn't have, which was weird of her. In the past couple of weeks, my husband was readmitted to the hospital and I was with him the entire time. I went home at 4 p.m. to get my clothes changed, and for some reason, I had strong feeling to check our indoor camera. I saw my sister walking in and out of our bedroom and had my husband's possessions in her hand. She took his wristwatches, his gaming device, and other possessions with monetary value. I was confused, but then figured she was taking his stuff and going home with it. I went to my dad's house and confronted her there by showing everyone the video, but she still denied after I asked if she was selling her sick brother-in-law's possessions. She kept denying, till she finally confessed, saying she needed money to pay off debts and rent, and thought since my husband was so sick, then those possessions weren't necessary. Everyone was shocked, including Dad. I yelled that she was taking advantage of my sick husband to sell his stuff and make money, completely dismissing the fact that if I happened to lose him, then those possessions become priceless to me. She started crying after I asked her in front of everyone if she was relying on him not returning home to notice the stuff that was missing, and called her gross and disgraceful for doing this to him while his dad is struggling. Everyone berated her and went off on her, but my stepmom heard about it later and called, and was angry, saying I should have taken my sister aside and not confront her and accuse her of being a thief in front of the whole family. I argued asking if she was okay with her taking and selling my husband's possessions, and she said no, but I went about this completely wrong. Now everyone shunned my sister after I publicly exposed her, knowing she had a reason to do what she did, which is rent, and she's a kid and made a mistake. Besides, she helped, so that should mean something to me. Did I go far? Not a day home. Called the cops and pressed charges for her theft. Good news is that rent is pretty cheap in jail. Not a day home. You called your sister out for literal theft. She needs to bring those items back immediately, or replacement value for any/all items, or you file a police report for robbery and let the courts sort it out. How dare she betray you and your family like that? I got some of this stuff back, but she's already sold the rest. I'm honestly so upset, but clearly I have no energy to fight with her or my stepmom. I'm ashamed and want to tell my husband. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister, her boyfriend, and her kids out of my house? I'll start by saying this. Ever since I was a kid, my sister has always been the favorite and had everything she wanted. She wants something, she gets it. I, on the other hand, had to work extremely hard to get my parents' attention. She never did anything, not even helped me clean when my parents would tell us to clean. I did so much house chores and never received any attention. Then years later, I turn 18 and I graduate and get a job. My mom, with 4 more siblings, says I can stay at home if I want, and I took her offer to save money that I pay her $200 a month for rent. My sister still got things handed to her. At the time, I didn't have a car and I just got my license, as my sister already had a permit of her own and always takes the shared minivan she used to go hang out with friends or go to parties. She would always ask me for extra money, and I'd give it to her as long as she paid me back. $1,500 later, she still has never paid me back. But somehow I was able to claim her as an independent for taxes and for a good refund from it and called it even. Then a few years later, I'm 21 and she's 18 and has a kid, and her boyfriend are living with us. And they sucked at paying rent that I ended up having my rent increased by my mom. 2 years later, I've had it that I was able to buy a house at 23. I worked hard to save and keep my credit good. So then I was 23 with my own home, my own car, and a good stable job. A few months later, she, then 21, asks to move in with me with her boyfriend, and her 2 kids. She says she and her boyfriend promises to pay rent, and for some reason I agreed because I felt guilty and I'm very close to her kids and I love them to death. Months pass by and almost every day her and her boyfriend is arguing. They don't clean after themselves. They're always taking up all of the parking, which causes me to park on the neighbor's parking, and I brought it to their attention 4 times. And their TV is always loud when I'm trying to sleep. Sister still doesn't have a job, and the boyfriend works a lot less because of COVID. I paid for all the utilities plus mortgage, and my bank balance is running lower every month. So I've had it, and the next day I told her and her boyfriend they have 1 month to leave. Luckily, right before they moved in, I made them sign a contract I made stating terms and agreements. I told them I've had enough, and if they don't leave, I will take legal action to have them forcibly removed. I feel horrible for their kids. Wanted to, but I can't go on having them ruin my days in my own home I worked so hard for. She says I'm screwed up for doing this to them. The boyfriend hasn't said anything about it, but I think he understands. Am I the a-hole for kicking her out with her kids? And she made it clear she doesn't want to live with our mom because our siblings are loud and messy. Not the a-hole. You've put up with this for months and now you're done. It was something worth trying, but not a lifetime commitment. You bought the house and you should be able to enjoy it. That's not happening since you were outnumbered 4-1. Stick to your 1 month and you gotta go. Expect some bargaining and some fury. But if you are firm, they will find another place and you can have your privacy back. Yeah, I just wanted to be a good brother, and I was hoping she would change her habits and better herself. But I guess I was wrong. But I will stand my ground. Thank you for your comment. Not stay home. Your sister doesn't get to move into your home and essentially make it unlivable for you. She defaulted on the rent while she stayed with your mom countless times, forcing you to foot the bill, and now she does so again. Honestly, you did the right thing by kicking them out. If you didn't take any action, it would have been you getting evicted as well. Not that your sister would ever have cared, honestly. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay my sister for my father's funeral? My father passed away this past weekend. At the time it took for me to drive to his house, after receiving the news, was apparently enough time for my younger sister to commandeer control of the entire situation. She has the fanciest funeral home in the area come to pick up his body, despite the fact that Dad never would have wanted to be handled there. We are a working-class family. He expressly told me at one point that he wanted to be handled by the same home that handled my grandparents. When I spoke with my sister, she said that the only reason she chose that home was because I was unavailable and someone needed to make a decision quickly. Okay, fair point. I took a deep breath and just said we can discuss this in the morning. I called the funeral home and set up an appointment to discuss my father's arrangements. I then texted my sister the information and invited her to come with me to make the decisions together. It is also important to note that my sister has been in and out of jail since she was a teenager. I want her to be involved because I feel it would help her with her grief, but by no means should she be the responsible party. When I arrived to the funeral home, I am told that my sister had already met with the director and that all arrangements had been made. Okay, all they were waiting for was my signature as next of kin, but my sister had signed a contract and some excessive stuff. The kicker was she had paid for the funeral in full, which shocked the heck out of me because my sister is an ex-con addict who has never been able to hold down a job. So I finally get a hold of my sister. We meet up and talk about how she paid such a large sum at once. She said she maxed out all of her credit cards and borrowed the rest from a few other people that I would consider shady. She immediately asks when I'm going to pay my half. I tell her I had made plans to include her in the decision making, but she opted to do her own thing. Many of the services she agreed to were for her own closure and ought to honor our father's wishes. I had also spoken with the other funeral home, which gave us an estimate of the arrangements per my dad's request, and told her that she would have paid a third of the cost elsewhere. I tell her that I would pay that cost, but the remaining balance was on her, since this was all about her ego and ambition to control. She puts up one of the biggest fits of rage I have ever seen in my life, and demands that I pay her cash for what's owed. I told her that there is no way in hell that I'm going to give a junkie such a large sum of cash, but I would be happy to make a payment directly to the funeral home, and she could receive a refund from them. Otherwise, I'd be happy to see her in court. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay her? Not the a-hole. Don't give in, and I would cut off your sister. I was actually no contact for the past 10 years because of her problems and unwillingness to own up/change. We became very limited contact at Easter of this year, when my father ambushed me with a surprise visit from her as he wanted us to reconnect. Well, he's dead now, so go no contact again. It's on my agenda, trust me. Everyone sucks here. I get your point, but calling her a junkie was pretty crappy. She is a junkie, and a horrible person on top of it. Some people are just not worth the effort it takes to spit on them, and she sounds like one of them. After 2 years of promises, they gave my promotion to the worst person on the team, so I left and let them sink. Original post. I've been working as a graphic designer in the marketing department of my company for around 3 to 4 years. When I started, our team was small, just 3 of us, including a team lead I respected deeply. Although we were a small group, I loved the creative challenges and the close collaboration with my coworkers. As the team grew, I quickly became known as one of the most dedicated and fastest designers. I trained every new hire, led projects, delivered presentations, and even organized workshops for the team. Over time, I took on the responsibilities you'd expect of a senior designer and gave my all to each project. Then things started to change. My team lead left, which meant even more responsibilities landed on my plate, as we had no replacement for over a year. It felt like the perfect opportunity to prove I was ready for a senior designer role. During my annual review, I was told that I was on track for promotion, and if I kept up the hard work, I'd be promoted within a year. But then I saw something that made my stomach drop. A new coworker, a notoriously lazy and toxic person, was promoted to senior designer. I was stunned. She had joined the team long after me, did the absolute bare minimum, and often passed her unfinished projects to me because I was fast. She had no clue about design strategy, stakeholder management, or even team collaboration. She would sweet-talk the higher-ups, take credit for things she didn't do, and leave the actual work to the rest of us. What really killed me was seeing her act like a leader, setting team guidelines she didn't even follow herself. She had a reputation among stakeholders as being difficult to work with, and they often requested that I handle their projects instead of her. After months of this, we finally got a new team lead, and I saw a chance to fight for the promotion I'd been promised. I prepared a presentation showcasing my project successes, positive feedback from coworkers, and a portfolio of senior-level work I'd been handling. The new team lead was impressed and acknowledged that I was the one of the most talented designers on the team. I thought that finally someone saw my hard work. But not long after, the same coworker messed up a big project, which affected not only my workflow but also my reputation, because she had involved me to cover for her. I corrected her work, but instead of appreciating it, she stormed into the office accusing me of embarrassing her in front of the stakeholder. I calmly explained that I was simply following project guidelines that she had ignored. When our team lead got involved, he agreed I was in the right, but seemed too scared to confront her fully, coddling her to keep her quiet. By the time my next annual review came around, I was at my wit's end, but I still held onto a shred of hope that I'd finally be recognized. Instead, my team lead gave me a 3-star rating out of 5 and told me I should be more present. They even had the nerve to compare me to a lazy coworker, saying I needed to emulate her social presence. I was floored. I had been the one keeping our team running, training new hires, checking everyone's work, and fixing her mistakes, and this was how I was rewarded? I refused to sign the review papers, telling him I wouldn't be proving anything else. I said that if he thought she was senior material, then he could let her handle the work. I would step back and do only what was required. No more senior-level tasks, training, or rescuing her half-finished projects. He started panicking and offered me the promotion in 6 months instead of a year, but I was done. 2 weeks later, I accepted a higher-paying job offer and handed in my notice. My manager was shocked, begging me to stay and asking what he could do to make things right. I told him there was nothing he could say that would make up for the years of disrespect. As soon as I decided to leave, I knew exactly how I'd handle my departure. Since all those senior tasks were no longer my problem, I wasn't going to spend my final 2 weeks writing down guidelines or passing on any of the knowledge I'd built up over the years. If I wasn't senior enough to earn the title, why should I act like one? Almost 60% of the work processes, design systems, and templates that kept our team afloat were things I had built from scratch. I knew it would take them months to untangle the gaps I was about to leave behind. The team leader must have realized this pretty quickly, because every day he started showing up at my desk with desperate pleas for help. Just a few guidelines, or just walk us through the workflow one last time. Each time, I reminded him that he'd refused my promotion, and as far as I was concerned, that meant my time and expertise were no longer his to ask for. The day I handed in my badge and walked out of that building was the first time I felt genuinely free in years. Now, I'm in a new job where my contributions are recognized and rewarded. Looking back, I can only hope this experience was a lesson for my former team lead and his senior designer. Maybe they'll learn what happens when you overlook someone's hard work and loyalty for the wrong reasons. But honestly, that's no longer my problem. Now for the top comments before reading the update. To be honest, you sound very out of touch with your management. You should already know where you are in the pecking order of promotion/seniority. And you should realize that your skills shown today might not at all qualify you as one of the most likely to be promoted next or go into a different role. Not getting a promotion happens, for many reasons, but you should always be aware why management picked your colleague. Even if you don't agree with their decision, management is typically not blind to the things you mention. They simply use a different set of criteria that you think they do/should. The more mature way of handling this situation is to simply talk to your management about it and put a realistic growth/promotion plan together. And if they can't, then look for something else. I actually did talk to them. Everything was even documented. I was already doing the job. All I wanted was a title. Practically nothing was going to change for them. I was already very near the salary scale, so even if I was promoted, my salary raise was very little anyways. So then why did they decide not to? You are owed a good and real answer to that. Typically, there is a skill lacking, and it's easier to ignore that for management than to tell you and have to work on getting that required training/growth. Well, it was a very long discussion, but I think it was not about the skills. I had a feeling like they didn't want to give that position so easily, or else everyone would have requested it. Also, I think they wanted to give that spot to someone else, which I think also have deserved that position. But moral of the story, don't promise what you cannot give. They shouldn't have led me on and should have been honest with me like, hey, can't promise it, but when the time comes, we can look into it again. I'm facing a similar situation at work. I'm a few years from retiring after 30 plus years, and my boss has recently promoted a 5-year employee to replace me when I leave. She covered some of my duties last year and was promoted 4 levels with a 20% pay raise, meaning she now earns more than me. Initially, I was furious, but I decided to quiet quit. I stopped documenting my processes, password protected my notes, and now strictly work 8 to 5. Meanwhile, my replacement has let the promotion go to her head, alienating the staff by barking orders, taking long breaks, and working irregular hours. Ironically, she'll have to give up her promotion and pay raise to take over my position, which isn't up for reclassification for another 8 years. With staff members leaving and a hiring freeze in place, the situation is bound to get worse, but I'm just enjoying the show for now. Get your years of retirement. Personally, I'd go ahead and do that transfer. Now for the update. First, thank you all for reading my post and sharing your own experiences. It's surprising how many people have faced similar situations. Your support has helped me move on, even if I can't forget what I went through. I hope this post encourages others to value themselves and push for the respect they deserve. Some of you thought I was overplaying my skills, but when you've put in years of hard work, gained experience, and learned your worth, you stop holding back. This was my breaking point, a major wake-up call that I'd had enough. For a bit more context, my team lead was new to management and struggled to handle conflicts. As for my lazy coworker, some of you suggested she slept her way to the promotion, but that wasn't the case. She was just very chatty and good at charming people, which helped her get ahead in a gossip-prone office. So, what happened after I left? I'm still in touch with my former project coordinator, my work bestie, who has kept me updated. They try to get my ex-coworker to step up, but unsurprisingly, nothing changed. She's still slacking off, and her behavior remains unchecked. To replace me, they had to divide my workload among 3 or 4 junior designers, and even merge 2 teams to manage it. This led to frustration because juniors and mediators were suddenly on the same level, causing some resentment. They also lost a lot of the work I'd done, so they had to redo it from scratch. In the end, the company didn't experience a major collapse, but they're still struggling with my lazy ex-coworker, who managed to shift her responsibilities onto the juniors. So, in a way, she got her win-win. The lesson? Everyone is replaceable, but knowing your worth is crucial. I absolutely love my new job, where I'm working with my amazing old team lead who left before all this mess. My hard work is recognized and appreciated. The best part? There are no junior or senior titles. We're all equal as graphic designers, and it's refreshing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my parents financially after they secretly supported my perfect sibling instead of me? Growing up, I was always the self-sufficient one. I worked hard, earned scholarships, and took on part-time jobs to pay my way through college. Meanwhile, my younger sibling had everything handed to them. A new car, fully paid tuition, and even an apartment. I assumed my parents were simply more financially stable when my sibling came along, and I didn't want to make a fuss. Fast forward to last month, my parents called saying they were in financial trouble and asked if I could help them with a loan. I considered doing the right thing, but something didn't add up. So, I asked them directly why they had spent so much on my sibling and not on me. That's when they admitted that they had actually saved for both of us, but used almost all of the money to support my sibling because sibling needed it more. I was devastated. I had worked myself to exhaustion just to stay afloat, while they funded my siblings' every whim, fully aware that I was struggling. I told them I couldn't help them financially because it wouldn't be fair to myself. Now, my sibling and some extended family members are calling me heartless and ungrateful, saying that family supports each other, and accusing me of letting my parents suffer over old grudges. Am I the a-hole for refusing to bail out my parents after learning the truth about their financial favoritism? Not the a-hole. Why can't the younger sibling help out your parents? You struggled all your life to make your own way without the help of your parents, and now they need your help? I mean, they couldn't help you before, but now they want your help? I definitely think twice. Not the a-hole. Yep, it's time for their investment in your siblings to pay dividends. Not your monkey. Send a message out to family telling them that you give your permission to your sibling that the money that was saved for you but instead given to sibling be given back to your parents. Not the a-hole. Sibling can sell the flat they were given and give half the money that rightfully belongs to OP back to the parents as OP doesn't want or need it anymore. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my brother $50,000 that our grandfather left me in his will? I, 32 male, recently received $50,000 from my grandfather's estate. I was incredibly close to him. I visited every week, especially as he got older and his health declined. I was there through it all, taking him to doctor's appointments and sometimes just sitting with him while he watched his favorite shows. He was like a second father to me, and when he passed, it hit me hard. My younger brother Matt, 27 male, had a different relationship with Grandpa. It's not that he didn't care, he did, but he was always busy. Matt lives a few hours away, has a demanding job, and is starting a family with his pregnant wife. He visited on holidays and special occasions, but that was about it. I always figured that was just how he was. Reading the will, we found out that Grandpa had left Matt some sentimental items, an old watch and a few other things. The $50,000, however, went to me. I didn't expect it, but I think Grandpa knew how much I had sacrificed to be there for him in his final years. I loved him and never did any of it for the money, but when I received the inheritance, it felt like his way of saying thank you. A couple of weeks after the funeral, Matt reached out, saying he needed to talk. He came over and after some small talk, he asked me for $30,000 of the inheritance. He explained that he was drowning in debt. The pregnancy brought extra expenses, and he just needed some help to get back on track. He said he wouldn't ask if he were desperate. I felt bad for him, I really did, but I also felt conflicted. This money wasn't something I had expected, but I'd already started making plans for it. I've been wanting to open a small woodworking business, something I'm passionate about, and have been saving for over the years. This inheritance was the missing piece to make that dream a reality, and I feel like my grandfather knew that when he left it to me. I told Matt I couldn't give him the $30,000. I said I'd be happy to help in smaller ways, like offering some of the savings I had set aside. But I wanted to keep most of the inheritance for the business I'd been dreaming of. I even offered to help him look for financial assistance or budgeting advice. Looking back, that may have come off as petty, but I didn't mean it that way. He didn't take it well. Matt accused me of being selfish and valuing my non-existent hobby over helping my own brother and future niece or nephew. He said I didn't understand the stress he was under. And to make matters worse, our parents have sided with him. Mom says family should come first and that Grandpa would have wanted me to help. Now I feel like the bad guy. I didn't ask for this money, and I don't want to damage my relationship with my brother. But this is the first time in my life I feel like I could actually follow a dream, and I don't want to give that up. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your brother and parents are entitled. The money is yours. Mom and Dad are free to give him $30K. As it's one of their parents that died too, they should have for sure have been given a part of the total inheritance in the will. Either money or other things of monetary value, not just sentimental things. They should offer to sell or give some of the money they've inherited too, if they're so eager to get OP to give up a big chunk of his part. Not the a-hole. He is an adult responsible for his choices. Stop letting them guilt trip you. If your parents care so much, they can help him. A. Tell them to stop. B. Tell them you have spent the money already. C. Go low or no contact if they don't stop. Last story. Am I the a-hole for exposing my sister's secret life after she sabotaged mine? I, 28 female, have a sister, Rachel, 26 female, who has always been the golden child. She's charming, beautiful, and seems to have everything together. Meanwhile, I've struggled with anxiety and never felt like I measured up. Last year, I finally got a promotion at work that I worked hard for. Rachel, being jealous, tried to undermine me by spreading rumors that I was incompetent and unqualified. I found out when a coworker confronted me about the rumors, and it devastated me. In retaliation, I decided to look deeper into Rachel's life. What I found was shocking. She was involved in a secret relationship with a married man who was a family friend. I confronted her, and at first she denied it, but then she broke down and admitted the truth. I told her I would keep quiet if she stopped trying to sabotage me. However, she continued her tactics, even trying to convince our parents that I was lying about my promotion. Feeling betrayed and hurt, I decided to tell our parents the truth about her relationship. The fallout was catastrophic. Our parents were furious with Rachel, and she's currently cut off from the family. Now I feel like the villain. I didn't want to expose her, but I was desperate and felt I had no other option. Am I the a-hole for exposing her when she was already hurting me? Not the a-hole. You warned her and told her to stop. She failed to. That's not your problem. You feel bad because you're a nice person. But your sister literally crossed your boundaries multiple times, lying on your name. Trying to harm your reputation, you shouldn't feel bad. You did nothing wrong. Your sister lied about you while you told the truth about her. Don't feel bad. Update. My boss just reacted to my message asking for a raise with haha. Original post. I posted here a while ago asking if having a salary of $13,000 a month in local currency, about $224 USD as a software developer was enough. I'm a graduating student, and this company hired me after my internship. When I accepted the role, I expected to do the same tasks I did during my internship, so I thought the pay was fair. But then they assigned me more complex tasks, like creating a payroll system, which required studying thousands of lines of code, hundreds of tables, and understanding the entire process from scratch. Keep in mind, it's just me and my senior on the team. I took it as a challenge and slowly started to enjoy it, but now I feel like the minimum salary isn't enough since I'm handling multiple projects, and my responsibilities have significantly increased. Today, I finally got the courage to message my boss and ask if a raise was possible. I was polite, simply asking if it could be considered, and explaining why I felt I deserved it. She just reacted with a haha, and even sent a smiling face with heart eyes emoji. I don't know if it was sarcastic, but I was only asking a simple yes or no question. I didn't even mention a specific amount. Now I feel like I'm being treated unfairly. As much as I want to leave immediately, I still need the income. But this experience has really motivated me to start looking for another job as soon as possible. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Your boss is deflecting the conversation at hand. $13K, as you're already aware, is too low, especially as starting salary. Immediately drop your job as your priority in life and prioritize getting a job that knows your worth. I didn't see it that way, but that makes sense. And yeah, I know it's way too low, haha. I can't leave immediately since I'm still studying and supporting myself, but I'm already applying for other jobs. Just looking for a company that accepts graduating students. Start applying for backup options. If you get accepted or receive multiple offers, present them to your boss and see if they can match them. If not, you're ready to move on since you already have a standing offer. Make sure you have leverage. That was actually my initial plan, to secure an offer before asking for a raise, since I still enjoy the work and the setup I have here. But I just wanted to take a shot at asking tonight. I guess her response was a sign that I should walk away once I find a backup. It's kind of sad, because I really love my work here despite the low salary. Thank you for the advice. Bad idea. Even if your company matches the offer, do not accept it. Leave and move on. If you stay, they will eventually fire you. It's very unprofessional to tell your company that you have another offer and that you'll only stay if they match it. Your boss and HR are not kids. They are cunning. This isn't a game. I was a fresh graduate, and a company once offered me $15,000 to basically be their entire IT department. This was almost 8 years ago. Luckily, I had a friend with experience who advised me to look elsewhere. 13K is laughable considering the workload they've assigned you. Yeah, that's what others told me too, when I posted on a subreddit last time. Thanks for slapping me with reality again. I'm feeling motivated to start applying again tonight. Now for the update. Thank you all for the advice and for giving me a reality check. Here's an update on my situation. I waited 2 days for a proper response from my boss, but I guess her initial reaction was her answer. Regardless, I had already planned to resign and was just looking for another job to transition into. Just a day after posting this, I was able to quickly land an international client from an online job who is paying me 4 times my monthly salary. The task seems easier than my usual work, at least in theory, but I still have some concerns since the tools are new to me and different from what I'm used to. However, I believe we grow the most from challenges that scare us, and stepping out of our comfort zone is where real learning happens. So thanks for motivating me to apply. As soon as I secured the deal, I immediately submitted my resignation. My boss later replied, apologizing for the late response and saying she was actually considering my request. She could have mentioned that when I first asked, instead of just reacting with a haha and an emoji though. She then asked if I could at least work reduced hours, since many of their clients had started with me. That honestly made me smile, because suddenly she saw my worth. Yet, when I initially asked for a raise, it seemed like I wasn't even worth a simple response. Not even a short yes or no. Unfortunately, I didn't do what some of you suggested, reacting to her message with haha or replying with just a crying emoji. Instead, I told her that I had already made up my mind. I kept it polite because I didn't want to burn any bridges, as I still appreciate the experience I gained from the company. Thank you all for helping me realize my worth. I've learned my lesson, and I will never go through that again. Last time an employer did that to me, I found a new job in 2 weeks, and when I gave notice, he claimed I blindsided him. Happy for you, man. Oh no, how could this be? My employee blindsided me with a resignation just a few weeks after I ignored their request for a raise. Surely it's not about money, right? They just lack loyalty and resilience. This is definitely not my fault. Some bosses, really. So proud of what you did. That's the right approach. Keep it professional. Even though what your boss did was unprofessional, just reacting with a haha to your message. And now, only when you have a better offer does she suddenly see your worth. Good luck on your new job, OP. Thank you. Kill him with kindness, I guess. Congratulations. Are you still going to work on your notice period, bro? Surprisingly, they're not asking me to keep working. I just told them I would hand over the files and work I have, and I'm good to go. I also don't have a contract, so I don't think I'm obligated to. Second story. Update. Me, 39 female, with my 44 male depressed colleague, accused me of bullying him. Original post. I manage a team of 12 people, and last year, a 13th member was added when other managers refused to deal with him any longer. He has been diagnosed with depression and generalized anxiety disorder. He is morbidly obese and suffers from musculoskeletal problems related to obesity and diabetes. When they assigned him to me, it was because I had successfully helped other employees with mental health challenges. I was happy to take him on, believing I could support him. We made some progress, steadily increasing his level of work. While his performance never reached an acceptable standard, I made accommodations to relieve pressure, hoping this would lead to sustained long-term improvement. I also arranged for ergonomic equipment to help him be more physically comfortable due to his obesity. I genuinely felt we were making progress. Unfortunately, he committed a serious security breach by sending out personal information to someone who was not legally entitled to have it. As a result, I had to place him on formal disciplinary action. Since then, he has been on sick leave for over 3 months. He is now subject to attendance management procedures and has reached out to a local mental health group, claiming that I have bullied and harassed him. According to him, this has made it impossible for him to return to work. I have documented evidence proving that this is not true. When he was informed that he needed to be moved away from me for health and safety reasons, he became very distressed and insisted on staying under my supervision for mental health reasons.
I also have signed documentation where he states that I am supportive and that he does not want the reasonable accommodations I have offered, such as shorter work days, fewer work days, and longer breaks. I now have a meeting with him and his support workers from the mental health group, and I have no idea how to handle it. How do I approach this? I can prove that he is lying, and I know he has a pattern of lying to get himself out of trouble. I am not worried about my bosses, as they are well aware that this is an utterly unfounded allegation. My main concern is that he is completely unsuited for the job, and because he refuses to acknowledge any responsibility for his mistakes, it is impossible to correct his performance. Now for the top advice before reading the crazy update. Let HR handle it. I have spoken with our internal HR, but they are terrified that any accusations of bullying someone with mental health problems could be problematic, since it's a hot topic at the moment. I have referred him for internal counseling, and he has repeatedly confirmed that he has taken up this service. My concern is that this meeting is not an internal one. It is with representatives from a mental health advocacy group. I don't know how to respectfully state that he is lying without sounding like a bully. To be clear, his lies aren't malicious, and I don't believe this one is either. He says things to solve an immediate problem. In this case, he needs to justify his extended sick leave, and admitting it is due to his own actions is too overwhelming. So instead, I am being bullied shifts the responsibility away from him. The reality is that he has control over his situation, but he is so used to portraying himself as a victim that he refuses to acknowledge the truth. Judging from your explanation, it sounds like you have an understanding and empathetic attitude toward this person and the situation. That attitude, along with the documentation you have regarding the accommodations you've offered, should go a long way in your defense. What exactly is he accusing you of? I'm not a professional in this area, but I have extensive experience working with people with mental health challenges in social work/education settings. He believes that by pointing out his security breach and substandard level of work, I have bullied him. He doesn't deny that he made the mistakes. His claim is that expecting him to improve is a form of bullying and harassment. I have made significant allowances for him. Other employees are expected to handle approximately 16 cases per day, accurately. I told him I would be happy with just 2 cases per day if he did them correctly. Unfortunately, he is unable to complete even 2 cases without mistakes. Despite allowing him to work at a much slower pace, he believes that he should be given the same margin of error as someone handling 16 cases. Because I expect him to complete 2 cases with 0 errors, while others handling 16 cases have some allowance for minor mistakes, he feels that he is being unfairly targeted. Now for the update. The meeting went ahead as planned, and thanks to the wonderful advice and tips from those who kindly responded, I was calm and felt prepared. Boy, was I wrong. My colleague and his support worker were both present, and the meeting started off well. I asked how he was doing, what steps he was taking to prepare for his return to work, etc., and nothing unexpected came up. As arranged, I brought up the allegations of bullying and asked for specific examples to help me understand what was happening. After worrying myself sick about this, his answer was actually quite disappointing. He provided no examples, only vague explanations about how his anxiety made him overreact to other people's conversations, making him feel like he was being picked on. I advised him, with my boss backing me up, that there was literally nothing I could do about that. I patiently explained that I could not ban people from talking, and I was not going to sit in silence just to ensure he never heard anything he didn't like. My boss also emphasized that his poor performance needed to be addressed, as that was part of my job, and that doing so in no way constituted harassment. His support worker agreed, and we had a brief discussion about how I could communicate with him more effectively. To be honest, nothing they suggested was particularly helpful, but I agreed to be mindful of his condition moving forward. Then things got weird. I asked if there was anything I could do to help him transition back into work. This usually involves a phased return, switching to part-time hours, etc. But not this time. As I was talking, he started taking paperwork out of a folder, and I should have realized something was up. when a support worker sighed deeply and slumped down in his chair. My colleague requested that he be allowed to bring an emotional support animal to work with him, namely, a support cat. We're in the UK, and this is not the norm, so I was a bit surprised. He hadn't settled on a breed yet, but was torn between an Abyssinian or a Siamese. I thought that pointing out some obvious difficulties with this idea might make him realize how inappropriate it was. For example, I reminded him that we already have a guide dog in the building for a partially sighted colleague. His name is Rufus, and he is by far the most popular being in the office, the dog, not the human. I explained that introducing a cat might cause issues. He responded by telling me that it was illegal to discriminate by favoring one disability over another, and that if a blind person could have a guide dog, then a depressed person should be allowed to have a cat. I moved on from this clearly idiotic point and asked how a cat would react to being placed in a pet carrier twice a day to travel to and from work. He confidently replied that he would train the cat. At this point, my boss became very agitated and demanded, "How the heck do you train a cat?" Not to be deterred, my colleague stated that in the worst-case scenario, he would leave the cat at work overnight and only take it home on weekends. I asked how he intended to handle cleaning the litter box, considering his serious weight issues made bending down difficult. He proudly presented me with a spreadsheet he had created, complete with a team rotation for feeding the cat and cleaning up after it. He had even costed out the expenses for food, insurance, and the actual cost of the cat. The spreadsheet included an expected donation from each team member based on how he perceived their financial circumstances. I was expected to contribute the most since I am single, earn more, and have no dependent children. The spreadsheet was quite impressive, color-coded and everything. I politely said no. He then insisted that the company should pay for the cat, arguing that it would be a legitimate business expense to accommodate his disability. At this point, I realized my boss was still muttering, "How the heck do you train a cat?" while the support worker was shaking his head and quietly saying, "I told you not to do this." So, I made a unilateral decision on behalf of the company and firmly stated that we would not be buying any cats, nor would we be cleaning up after any cats, because we would not be permitting any cats on the premises. He was not happy. He complained that I was making it impossible for him to return to work. My boss, breaking free from his cat training tangent, decided that we had gone as far as we could for the time being and ended the meeting. As we were leaving, he made a point of telling the support worker, "There will be no bloody cats." The support worker nodded and agreed that this was entirely fair. I didn't hear anything for a week or so, then received another 4-week sick note from him. Per company procedure, I called to check in on how he was doing. He was still very upset about my discriminatory anti-cat stance and informed me that he would be taking it further. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from what initially appeared to be a local solicitor's office. It informed me that I was being sued for breaking disability discrimination laws. However, upon closer examination, the letterhead had been altered to include his home phone number and personal mobile. The address was also incorrect. It wasn't the solicitor's office at all. I'm not sure whose address he used, but it certainly wasn't legitimate. I handed it to my boss, who had also received a letter, and both were forwarded to our legal department. I was advised to have no further contact with him. Shortly afterward, the legal team confirmed that his contract had been terminated with immediate effect. I am honestly stunned at how this all played out. I half expected him to be let go due to excessive absences and his unwillingness to improve his performance, but I never imagined it would end like this. It's both hilarious and sad. Thank you so much to everyone who helped me prepare for the meeting. Your advice and support meant the world to me. I love how far removed from reality this guy is. I'll bring a cat as a support animal. How are you going to clean up after it? Or feed it? You guys are going to do it. Yeah, no. And buy the cat as a business expense. And a purebred cat, no less. Do you know how much those specific breeds of cats can cost? At least $2,500, depending on the breeder and the cat's lineage. Breeding cats is no joke, and that's just the starting figure. I love how this guy specifically wanted a purebred cat. Not just any cat, but an Abyssinian or a Siamese. This guy is Delulu. Also, those breeds are noisy AF. Let's just say they make their presence known loudly. Sounds perfect for a quiet office setting. Side note, I'm a vet tech, which is why I know about cat prices. One of my cats is a rag doll from a breeder. She flunked out and wasn't up to snuff for the breeder to use in their line, but they didn't realize that until she was almost a year old. They didn't want to just sell or give her to just anyone. So I ended up with her free of charge, but I saw the pricing for what she would have sold for. Yikes. I can't stop laughing at the boss who got so caught up on a training a cat tangent and just zoned out. He's now forging letters from lawyers. This is serious misconduct. We need to let him go. Okay, whatever. But how the hell do you train a cat?